Welcome to episode 50 of the For the Love of Cricket podcast with Jim and Akim. We'll be discussing the just concluded 50 over series between West Indies and England. West Indies won the series 2-1. The games weren't very close, but they were entertaining. West Indies with a record breaking chase of 326 in the first game. They batted poorly in the second game, and they bowled well in the third game to pull off a victory via the Duckworth-Lewis method. What's your take on the series?
I think it's commendable. The West Indies winning the series. England, their poor run of form continues. It was an interesting series for the West Indies team. A number of lesser experienced players were brought into the fray. I think most of them gave good accounts for themselves, and it resulted in a series win for them. I think credit must go to Shea Hope as captain and Darren Sammy and the selectors on a series win against an English team which is struggling right now, but it's still the cricketing nation of England, so they must be commended.
So, 3 weeks out from an appalling World Cup campaign, England came here with a pretty new team, lot of fresh faces, and if not fresh faces, some players that hadn't gotten many caps before today. I thought seeing that squad, the West Indians would have liked their chances in home conditions to pull off a victory and start their march towards 2027 50 over World Cup with a flying start, and they have done so. What would Joss Butler be thinking about at this moment?
He must be wondering what's going on with his team and also his form. I can tell you it's always a bit more difficult to lead when your personal form is bad or your game isn't going how you would like it to. Joss Butler has proven to be a world-class performer over a number of seasons. He has had a wretched run, I would say, since the World Cup and coming into this series, but he got a half century in the second game of this series. I thought it probably would have been a turning of the corner, maybe, for him, and I was worried about the chances of the West Indies team in the final game with Butler finding form. However, he didn't get many runs in the last game. He didn't get any runs at all, as a matter of fact. And the English team lost. He will be looking forward to the end of this tour probably. Well, he has the T20 series coming up. Hopefully a change of format will result in a more productive spell with the bat for him. But the series was an opportunity for a lot of newer faces in the English setup. You think about somebody like Rehan, you think about Phil Salt getting an opportunity to play, you think about Gus Atkins playing some more, Sam Curran featured as a more experienced player in the lineup. Liam Livingstone played. You also had Zach Crawley opening in one day cricket, which is an opportunity that he hasn't gotten very often. So it was a new look team. It will take some time for them to gel, but England are probably looking towards the next World Cup. So it was an interesting series, but the West Indies will be very happy about winning the series on home soil. Big win.
You mentioned England will be looking towards the next World Cup, but I think their case is a lot more urgent than the West Indies. Remember, they have the Champions Trophy next year back in the subcontinent in Pakistan.
That's true.
It should be quite important for them to get their squad gelling as quickly as possible. I think they're using this series just to find about 4 or 5 players to complete that 14-man squad going into the Champions Trophy. You mentioned Rehan Ahmed. What are your thoughts on him in one-day cricket thus far?
I think he was decent in the series. He picked up like 5 or 6 wickets. He uses his googly quite often. It seems to be his wicket taking ball. I think he has a lot of potential. He's somebody that is fairly new to professional cricket and international cricket. I would say he's still a teenager. He's still fairly young. The sky's the limit for him. I would say it will now be a case of how England uses him and how they expose him in different conditions. A tour like this would have been a good one for him to come and experience the Caribbean, probably bowl to some batters that are a bit more aggressive in a Caribbean environment that is generally a bit hostile, many would say. So it would have been a good experience for him, and I think he handled himself credibly.
The last time we saw England giving chances to a similar kind of bowler, leg spinner, bats a bit of similar Asian descent, Adil Rashid. His first go around didn't go so well. Having watched him play Test cricket, some games in the 100 and this one day series, I actually think he is ahead of where Adil was at this point.
Stage, yeah.
And the future looks pretty bright for him if he can continue on the trajectory that he is on right now. West Indies, any bright spots in the series for them?
I think they had a number of bright spots, to be honest. Alec Athanaze is somebody who is exciting. He's an exciting young player. He's elegant, left-hander. He slotted in at the top of the order, and he got 2 scores in the series. He got a half century, and then he got a score of about 48. I think he looked very good. He looked crisp through the offside. He's a very good driver and cutter of the ball. He also plays the pull shot well, and he didn't look phased at the level. He's somebody who had success at the under-19 level. I think during his under-19 World Cup, he was the leading run scorer in that tournament, and he scored multiple centuries. I think he scored 2 or 3. So it's good to see somebody like him transitioning into international cricket and doing fairly well. I think Shai Hope's form has been excellent. He has matured. He is playing as the captain now. He moved from the top of the order to number 4, and he has really been consistent. He's been our best player in 50 over cricket for a number of years now. He averages over 50 with a bat, and he got 2 big scores in this series. He got a match-winning century in the first game, got a half century in the second game, and a losing effort. Didn't get many in the final game of the series, but I think he led the team very well. It was good to see Casey Carty get a half century in the final game of the series. His knock was a timely one. He had a bit of a bad showing in the outfield, dropped a number of catches, but it was good to see him show some character and play a very handy knock, I would say. He really set up a good platform for my man of the series, Romario Shepherd. He was very good in the 2 match-winning efforts in the first game of the series and the final one. He is somebody that I think has a lot of potential with the bat. You know, a lot of fanfare surrounds fast bowling all-rounders and hitters of the ball in white ball cricket, and I think Sheppy has the potential to be a top all-rounder in world cricket. Definitely with the bat, he is very capable. He's somebody that has first-class centuries, and he showed his ability in this series to be calculated and finish innings off. I think where people have a bit of a worry with Sheppy is with the ball. At times he goes for a bit of runs and he isn't the most economical, but I think that's a side of his game that he can definitely work on and improve. And I think he was much better in this series than in series of the past. So I think a lot of credit must go to him. And for me, he was the player of the series.
Matthew Ford?
Matthew Ford is also somebody that I forgot to mention. He is somebody that came into this series. There was a lot of there were a lot of questions around his inclusion. There were a lot of questions around his inclusion, and eyebrows were raised. But he performed very well in his debut game. He played in the final game of the series, a high pressure game, some sense you would say. Basically a final, and he took 3 wickets, bowled with decent pace and accuracy, and he got the ball to bounce. It was a very good new ball spell, and then he showed a bit of ability with the bat towards the end with Shepherd to see the game home. We only saw him once in the series, and I'm sure that he's somebody that we will see more of as the year goes on and going into 2024 and as his career progresses. But it was a good first showing.
Yeah, he has, well, from what we have seen, well, from what I've seen between the CPL Super 50 and now, he has pretty good all-round potential, as you mentioned. What I find key with him is he does something that most other fast bowlers doesn't do. His top ball is an in-swinger. Threatening the stumps, the batters have to play at all deliveries, and when he gets just that one to straighten a bit, you see him nick off a few people. Question. John Sir Charles was omitted from the West Indies team in 2016. Made a return this year, has played 10 games thus far, played in Zimbabwe in June. From those 10 games, he has 4 half centuries and 2 other starts, 20s. He's not in the squad this time. Thoughts?
I think it's a bit of an interesting selection. The numbers would point to him warranting being selected in this squad. It's interesting that the direction that the selectors have gone in. You look at the squad, and there is Brandon King, who is opening with Alec Athnaze, and then there is Keon Utley on the bench, who had a very good regional Super 50 for Trinidad, but he's somebody who is also about 30 years old. Not very experienced in international cricket. I think he's only played a game or 2 at the international level. So John Sir Charles probably warrants questioning his non-inclusion in the squad, but the selectors went that way and they won the series. So what can you really say?
I just find it very it's quite strange to me. Very good showing by the West Indies. England still trying to claw themselves, dig themselves out of a rut that is quite stink at this current moment. The T20 series beckons. The first game begins on Wednesday. Who do you think will win the series?
I think it will be interesting. I'm backing the Windies at home in the series, but it should be a very competitive one. There are a number of players that have come back into the squad for the T20 series, and Dreeros is back, so that will be very exciting to see.
Moeen Ali comes back for England, your favorite player. What do you think his chances are? Do you think he'll play?
I think he'll feature in some of the games. It's a 5-game series. He may not play all of them. Also, how they use him might be interesting. You don't know if they're going to use him at the top of the order, or if they're going to use him in the middle. You don't know where he'll be used for the series, but it will be interesting to see how he goes, especially bowling right arm off spin in the Caribbean.
I actually think West Indies will win this one easily. They have their core T20 team to pick from in this series. England are still missing about 4 or 5 players. So it should be a good contest anyways. You have anything else to add?
No, that's all from me.
Alright guys, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.